Hello, hello. What's up, y'all? Thank you for tuning in to Soulcast. This is a podcast where we allow the soul to broadcast information, knowledge, wisdom, quotes, opinions, and so much more. Reminding everyone who is listening that this is only, and I mean only, for informative purposes. I only speak from my own experiences, okay? What is spoken on Soulcast are my truths, my beliefs, and it's all based off of what I've learned from others around me, what I've read in books, and what I experienced entirely on my own. Soulcast is here to express, shine light on, and challenge all things mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical. Everything is up for discussion over here, okay? Feel free to email us for topics you'd like us to discuss. It'll be below in every episode details, okay? Now, let's get into the good stuff. I'm Mila Nunez, your host. Let's talk about it. All right. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Happy Monday. Today is going to be a new day. It's going to be a great day. We have Derick Johnson on the line with us. We're going to have a beautiful chat about fitness and how we can get it aligned with our mental health, our emotional health, spiritual health, all of the healths, right? Hello, Derick. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. What brings you on? Talk to us. What brings you here?
So I really love the message of just the overall soul dance, mind, body, spirit, taking control of our situation and our mental health along with our physical health. So I just appreciate people that talk about real things and that aren't just talking about fluff. So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I just love giving practical advice that people can use and connecting with others to provide value. Because when some of us listen to a podcast, we read a book, we come across an article, we're usually just searching for one main takeaway.
Hmm.
So hopefully in our conversation, they can get one or two things that they can apply to their life and go from there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like that you said that too. Just giving them practical advice, right? Just things that are just very easy that we can, slowly put in daily and then grow from there, correct?
Oh, yes.
Perfect. Well, before we get started on all of the beautiful information you're going to provide us today, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you from? How do you identify in today's society?
Yeah, great question. So I grew up in Germany as a child. My
Hmm.
mother's German and my dad was US Army. So growing up mixed. So my mother's German, my dad's African American.
Hmm.
Growing up in Germany was interesting. So
Hmm.
you have all the education, the discipline, the borderline OCD that is just instilled in you,
Hmm.
personal side and all that. So it was very interesting. It helped a lot. But before we moved to the United States, I moved to the United States when I was in third grade. So when you're a European, you watch American movies wondering, is school really like it is in the movies and in the TV shows? Because you really wonder, is that really how American schools are? Cheerleader, bully, jock, teacher,
Hmm.
all the other stuff. And then once I moved to the States, it was 100% just like the movies and shows. I was like, all right. So we lived in Germany as a child, and then third grade on throughout high school. I lived in Pensacola, Florida, which is in the panhandle of Florida. And people are probably familiar with Panama City Beach. That's in Florida. So it's on the Gulf of Mexico. So beautiful city, small town feel. But I can definitely say that it was a culture shock because of the mentality was really close. So
Hmm.
going to school, people didn't know what I was. They're like, is he black? Is he white? Is he Mexican? Is he this? Is he that? And for me, at the time, it was just a lot because I didn't
Hmm.
experience that in Germany, and especially being on military bases at actual German schools. So I had to adjust. So with that being said, that was the start of bullying. Actually happened in elementary through middle school,
Hmm.
and then around the age of 12, that's when I had some personal things happen at home regarding alcoholism. It runs on both sides of my family.
Hmm.
And so it only really affected our household and myself at night. So
Hmm.
after the cookout, after the crowd
Hmm.
left, after they got off the business deal phone call and all that, because they just dealt with their own traumas growing up. And
Right.
so with the big picture, that teenager was just having a lot of trauma at home between the hours of 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. and then having bullying at school. And just by the age of 14, I just said enough is enough. I need to work on myself. And so I got deep into personal development. And literally before middle school, I just got really deep into it because I said I have to make a change because I got tired of being physically, mentally, emotionally, verbally, and everything else bullied in all the various facets. So fitness became my gateway into personal development. So I really focused on learning about the body, learning about the mind, and I just wanted to be calm and confident. And I just wanted to stop being so skinny, not to fight the bullies, but more so stand up for myself so I could be that person who can stand up for others as well. So dealing with everything at home and in school, that inspired me to really work on myself. It started with fitness. And then from there, it went into faith because I realized that I was much calmer, more confident, more laid back because I took care of me. And then I was just inspired to help others do the same thing. So I had to grow up quick, but it all happened for a reason.
Yeah, I love that. I do have a question that came into mind when you just said all of that. How do you try to maintain the balance of helping yourself and others? You know, sometimes we get lost in trying to do for others, and this is me speaking like personally too, where I always want to help others and I want to be there for others, and then I lose track of helping myself. And then, how do you maintain that balance?
Great question. So I just always keep in my mind the saying that people depend on me. And what I mean by that is that we never know who's looking up to us or watching us.
Mhm.
Like I don't have kids. My girlfriend and I, we just have a adopted pit bull, and she's a rescue.
Mhm.
Like she's like our baby. But
Oh,
in general, is there might be somebody online that needs to see your Facebook posts, that needs
mhm,
to hear your podcast, that needs to learn about how you are where you are now in February 2024. And just if that person just starts slowly opening up about who they are, what they've overcome, and all these things, it inspires more people. And it's a win-win for both. One, it's
mhm,
therapeutic. Two, it helps them because they might see you or me or whoever as like the final product or like, oh, she's always been confident. Oh, he's always been into fitness. Oh, yeah, his dad was army or her mama did this. And people have preconceived notions, but once they start to learn about it, they're like, oh, wow, no wonder she or he does what they do. They've been through X, Y, Z.
mhm,
So when I think of the statement, people depend on me, it forces me to take care of my body and mind first in the early morning. So by the time that I start coaching calls, have conversations with other powerful, focused people, or just like if I'm walking around in public, if I'm at Target, I just want to make sure that my state, my mental state and energy is giving off positivity and like empowering energy rather than just being stressed and allowing
mhm,
that to seep through and infect others. So one of my favorite sayings is making sure that we positively affect people and don't negatively infect them.
mm,
So it's hard in the beginning, but when we can check our state, when we say, you know what, before I get out of my car and go to this store, let me breathe, let me
mhm,
sip this water, let me pray, show some gratitude, let me call a friend, let me do something to reset so I don't carry this energy into the store and get into an unnecessary argument, all because we are in a lower state. So it's
mm.
more so just taking care of ourselves first. And as the cliche saying goes, when you're on an airplane, you got to don your own mask on first before you can help anybody else. So
Right.
I just really take that to heart. But it all starts with the morning routine is I aim to do one thing for the body and then
Mhm,
one thing for the mind. So that helps me get set for the day. So that way I'm proactive, that no matter if and when life does happen, I can at least react much better and calmer rather than being reactionary to everything all day long.
mhm. Yes, I can completely agree with that. I am someone who realized when I stopped doing my morning routines, I became very low vibrational. And I'm like, what is going on? What's wrong with me? Why
Oh,
do
yeah.
I feel so heavy? Right. And then I realized, okay, let me get back into my morning routine, my practices. What do I need to do? Let me burn an incense. Let me do some yoga. Let me stretch. Something, like you said, something for the mind, something for the bodies, even something for the spirit. Some people don't realize that. Right. And so I also love that you stated that before I go into this store, let me breathe. That is one of the biggest things for me because, and I think everybody can relate that since the pandemic, we've all generated some type of social anxiety, right? With crowds and people and like so many different individuals and energies, right? So it's important for us to just be like, okay, What is
Exactly.
my goal?
Oh, yes.
So and that applies everywhere. Like before I go into my job, all right, let me breathe. I already know what kind of environment. I know I'm aware of everything. How can I produce a higher vibration and making sure that everybody feels welcome and positive. It is very hard. It's very challenging, but it's possible. So I love that you stated that. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, yeah, it's just always been interesting to see who can be aware of themselves.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people can't. We all have a friend that we're like, hey, watch your words, watch your words. Why do you speak to yourself like that? Or
Mhm.
we have a friend that's the complete opposite. That's just, we know that that's our go-to person when we need to be built up, when we need to
Mhm.
rant. They lend a helping ear. They just actively listen, but just checking our state. It's always been
Mhm.
interesting to see who's aware, who's not, but everybody does have the ability to be more aware. And it all honestly just starts with pushing pride and ego aside, which is
Mm.
one of the hardest things for most people because they're like, oh,
Mhm.
well, you don't understand my story, Derick, or oh, she doesn't understand my story, or Jamila, she's just good at this, and I don't know. Like all the stories that somebody is telling themselves, it makes
Mhm.
sense why once we learn about their past, but if people can snap themselves out of it, and first step one is just acknowledging and saying, you know what, I need to stop speaking to myself this way, or
Mm.
I need to slowly change the story I'm telling to myself about myself for myself, which is creating my future self, and like just going
Right.
deeper into it and saying, all right, no wonder I'm feeling this way.
Mhm. And it's very challenging, and I want everybody to know that it's if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? Everybody would be like, yes, let's just do it. But it takes those who are committed to being a better and healthier version of themselves. It takes confidence, right? Be like, okay, I can do this. I believe I can do this. I want this for myself. You have to want it more than you don't, and it's and
Exactly.
that's and that's an everyday battle. It's a every morning, like, okay, how can I be a better version of myself today to promote a better tomorrow? It all
Yeah.
starts with now. It all starts with today. Even this second, 1 second ago, I wasn't the same that I was now. So it's
Yes.
just, we have to continuously realize it. Not even just y'all, myself too. Like it's a challenge every day. We have this confidence but it's something that we have to do the work for. We can't just manifest and say, hey, this is what I want and it's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
No. No, I wish it was that way. We all do, but it's not. It takes a lot of work and it takes commitment to yourself, right? Remembering that we deserve better. We are like designed to have this beautiful and this great life, but we have to do the work as well. And that's what I think we all sometimes tend to fail like to realize.
Oh yes.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, that was beautiful. I completely agree. I love our bounce backs in our conversation. It's great. I would love for you to talk about fitness. Let us know your journey with it, where you started, and what do you do? How do you help others? Give us a little rundown of also your program that you have. I did look into you. Yes, I did. So give us more information on that.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. So, what got me into fitness was honestly just life testing me
Mm-hmm.
in every way and just a lot of stress. And honestly, in my family on both sides, I knew that we are all addicted to something.
Mm-hmm.
It runs in our blood. So, I said, I'm choosing fitness and personal development. So, I was that kid and teen where people are like, you just always work out. You're always like reading books and listening to empowering. Like, yo, aren't you a little bit obsessed with that? And in my head, I'm like, well, aren't you guys obsessed with alcohol or drugs and anger?
Mm-hmm.
So I just would keep it to myself. But knowing that, that's why that was always my outlet because it was the only thing that would make me or anyone else feel more calm and confident without a hangover, without a feeling of coming down or having to reset or needing to rebalance and everything else. So we don't have to do anything for it. It's just all natural and it gets our mind open. So it's just always been the cornerstone of it. And this is outside of the physique, the six pack, the nice legs, or just whatever, male or female, whatever they're aiming for. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. But once they really take control of the mental and the mental high and confidence they get afterwards, they realize that that energy will spill into everything else they do. Because
Mm-hmm.
anytime our physical focus is down, our mental energy is down, our physical energy is down, we've just been neglecting our body and haven't had much time in nature. So I always try to do a combination of those things. Some workouts are at the gym, some are outside, but being able to reset the body is just a byproduct of it. It's just more so the mental high that that person has. They just radiate different energy. They're always excited. They're always more lively. And then the same thing happens in reverse. If somebody does not do any physical activity for 2 weeks, they can sense it probably within 48 hours that they're like, all right, I'm on edge. I'm stressed. Traffic is annoying me more than usual. Like all those little things that we don't really pay attention to much. But just in general, what got me into it was the family stuff and also bullying at school to change my physique and change my mentality. And that inspired me to help others. So actually at the age of 15, I started becoming a personal trainer and I was certified and I was training my teachers, my parents' friends, my neighbors, classmates, teammates. And I just fell in love with seeing people confident in themselves, having less back pain, having more flexibility and mobility, being able to play with their kids, small things like their shoulder not popping when they're reaching for a glass in the kitchen.
Man.
Like all those little things outside of just like their goal body, I really would pay attention to, because you would see people that are like, man, my left knee hasn't popped in 2 weeks, or I haven't talked negative to my reflection in 3 days. All those things that is way more than just fitness at surface level. Those are always the most empowering things. So it all started as fitness and performance, and then it went more so into nutrition. But on the big picture, what got me into life coaching was I was in college and I was also in the US Army and working with a lot of different ethnicities, genders, backgrounds, socioeconomics, like all these different people. I started to realize that everyone has patterns, whether those are good patterns, whether those are bad patterns, whether they're neutral. Maybe there's no pattern because a person's just like feels stuck. But that inspired me the most to get into life coaching, because what I realized is some of my friends and clients that I work with for years or months, after our programming, a lot of them at that time period would start to lose the progress. And I took it personal. I said, you know what? That was my fault. I only taught them fitness and nutrition. We didn't work on the mental. Right. Unless I was there. I was the motivator, but I was like, I'm not changing patterns. So that's what inspired me to get deep into life coaching and psychology. So nowadays, what I do outside of just the fitness is I help people identify their patterns, break the patterns that aren't helping them, and show them how they can thrive, not just survive. So an example could be the person that crushes it in sales in their career. They have the car, they have the home, they have all this, but they can't keep a relationship to save their life. So we look at like, why is this male or female? Why do they feel this way? And the goal is not to get everybody into a loving relationship. I'm not a relationship coach, but just in general is just, why does that person keep having these patterns? And a common thread that I've been talking to people a lot about the past 6 months is, are you dating the same person with a different face? And it all stems back to patterns. So sometimes people are attracted to a certain experience because of their upbringing, or maybe they did not have a good father or mother figure. So it really is interesting to see like why the person is where they are right now, but everything is at a neutral standpoint. So once they have the ability to push their own ego and pride out of the way, and they can say, you know what, let's look at myself from the outside in. Okay, the body's coming along, the mind is coming along, but why is this happening? Why am I reaching for that food when I react like this from work? Or why am I saying yes to this guy or girl when I really don't want to go there, but I'm saying yes to people? So all these different things that start to add up that lead to their overall stress, anxiety, and so forth, we pinpoint what those things are and then slowly start to take their control back so they get their power in themselves and say, you know what? I can say no to people without explaining myself. I don't have to show up to this set event if these people only talk down to me. I don't have to do X, Y, and Z. So nowadays, it's just about helping people identify their patterns and them seeing them and showing them, guiding them how to get their power back, which is all step one. First, getting rid of some things. That might be what we eat. It might be what we drink. It might be what we're looking at when we're scrolling. It might be somebody's just listening to breakup songs all day and it's been 3 months and it's like, all right, you grieved. We understand, but put yourself into a low state. Like her music's not helping you right now. It's
right at all. Change it.
So yeah, so like honestly, that's what it is. It's just identifying what the person's pattern is. And once they have clarity, once the light bulb goes off and they have the aha moment, you can see the power and the light come into their eye and they're like, huh, that's why I didn't realize this. And every time that happens in my head, I'm just snapping my fingers and I'm like, yes, she's seeing it. He's seeing it. and I'm just guiding them. I'm not telling them exactly what it is, because once they figure it out and they acknowledge it verbally, then we can dive deep. So my goal is not to say, hey, you got this and this, let's fix it. It's not like that. It's more so we open up, we work on those things, and we get rid of things. So nowadays, it's what it is helping people break their patterns so they can feel like they're thriving in more than just one area. They have control of each facet of their life.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I'm just, you can't see me, but I am literally nodding my head at everything. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like, it's funny because I teach dance and I teach mindfulness through dancing, right? And so that is a very key component about that, because you have to mentally get out, like, get out all of these rejections and these false perceptions of self and beliefs and all of these things. You have to disregard all of that when it comes to dancing, because at the end of the day, it's about how you feel, not how you look, right? It's not about
Exactly.
what you look like. You can look great and still feel like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
exactly.
it's like, it doesn't matter about that. The goal is to get you to feel good, to understand you can do this, and we have to do it in a different way. Again, get out of your head. We always say, get out of your head, get out of your head, because your head is what's telling you you can't do this. You're telling yourself that you don't look good doing this move, but do you feel good? You know, and
Yeah,
that's my goal too. And the patterns thing, I completely agree. We continuously, we have these patterns in life that we've also, that like we were domesticated in, we grew up on, we, these beliefs that we hold so true to us that aren't even ours, you know? So it's like, I agree with the patterns. We have to identify the patterns. We have to understand and be aware of what patterns we're keeping with ourselves and learn how to break them. Yes, we're gonna, what do we call it? It's like the circle relapsing, right? We
yes,
fall back into that pattern, but it's okay, because it's part of the process. Like, all right, this is what makes me what feel anxious when I'm working and I'm very stressed. I know after work I want to go get a drink. No, okay, I know that now. I'm going to go actually work out. I'm instead, so that I don't go get that drink, you know, because if we're aware of that, we can say, okay, this is what I normally do. What can I do differently this time? Example, for me, I know that, again, I know how to, like, I was like what you said about they have a great job, they know how to keep, they keep everything, but in a relationship, that was me, right? So for me, it's like, breaking my patterns. What is my patterns? I love routine. I love schedules. Like, if anything like interacts with that or counteracts and doesn't work with that, I flip out and I get crazy about it. I used
yes,
to. And so a relationship, though, that's a whole other schedule and routine that I have to put into my schedule. And so relationships go up and down. There's no like a job, it's like, okay, this is just where it's at and this is how it is. I can exit out of it. Relationships, you can't do that, right? You have to be able to be flexible and ebb and flow with the person that you're with. And so when you find that person who's like against the pattern that you're normally used to, you might fall out of the whole thing and relapse and be like, oh my God, no, this is terrible. You know, so identifying your patterns and what it is that you do and how you show up, and or lack of showing up, you know, you have to be aware of all the flaws and what your strengths are, you know. And it's a constant battle. It's a it's always a yes and a no, or no and a yes, and trying to find a way that works for you that doesn't also like harm you, you know. Like,
exactly.
sometimes we get too obsessed with the, oh, this is what I gotta do, this is what I gotta do, and then we start like disregarding other things or not allowing certain things that could help us or benefit us. So it's just being aware is like, I feel like, is the key point. And how do we help people be aware of those, right? Like, it's a hard job that we have, you know, it's a hard work that we do, you know, working to get people out of their minds and recognizing themselves and their true self and their higher power and all of these beautiful things that society around us tries to, you know, cast a blanket over,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. Like, how can we help people I see their true self and their light, because it's a battle. It's a huge battle.
Oh, yes, it's definitely a challenge. A huge thing that can help is anybody can Google this. I would go to
Mm-hmm.
Google and click on images and search
Mm-hmm.
six human needs. Six human
Mm-hmm.
needs. So a lot of life coaches or speakers like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, gentlemen like that, even like Mel Robbins, they discuss this a lot. But the big
Mm-hmm.
thing about it is everybody has all six of these needs, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
right or wrong order. But the most interesting thing is when somebody has clarity and they can pinpoint on what their number one need is, where they are in their life right now. Because today it's February 12th as we're recording this. So by July, somebody could have a totally different order. And that doesn't mean
Mm.
good or bad. Everything is neutral because it depends on what season that person is in. But one of the first ones is certainty. I was thinking about it. I don't want to cut you out, but earlier I was like, oh, yeah, yours is definitely certainty, or used to be,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically that person, they need structure, organization,
Mm-hmm.
planner. He or she is the parent of their groups. We're going to go here and then we're going to go there. And then we're going to go here. We're going to have lunch. We got to go. That restaurant is 5 miles this way. And then after that, we got to get back to the hotel. And they're just like, yo, how do you have this stuff planned? And you're like, hey, I'm the reason everything flows together, because if we left it up
Right.
to you all, we wouldn't see anything in the city we went to on a road trip.
Right.
But like that's an example of that person. Their number one need is certainty. So like
Mm-hmm.
if somebody relates to that, they say, you know what? I do get stressed when things are not planned, when things are
Mm-hmm.
not structured. So a huge example is several years ago, quarantine hit. Everybody in the world relates and knows how that went.
Mm-hmm.
So if this person's number one need is certainty, that was like a bomb going off in their routine. They're like, whoa,
Whew.
what do you mean I got to do this?
He's talking about me, y'all. I'm just kidding.
And then we go into the second one. The second one is uncertainty. So they're the complete opposite. They love unknown. They love
Mm-hmm.
changes. They love new stimuli. They love adventures, random road trips. They love getting tested. So when quarantine hit, this person was the complete opposite. They're like, what? I don't got to see y'all in person? Awesome. I could be home all day? Amazing. This person like had a positive reaction to it. So it was interesting. The exact same scenario, and two different people
Mm.
react differently because of their number one need. One is certainty. The other one is uncertainty. They need changes. They need adventures and tests and challenges. The third one is significance. So very straightforward. This person just needs to feel significance in their personal life or their professional life. So they like to be acknowledged. So somebody has a
Mm-hmm.
team and coworkers. This person, they like the digital pat on the back, or if it's in person, they could say, hey, we appreciate you for what you do. If it's in a relationship, it's the same way. Also, from a big picture, is maybe he or she has worked their tail off for 10 years in that industry or in that company, and they feel like they deserve that trophy or that accolade or the raise or promotion. So they want to feel that significance. And there's nothing wrong with that. Society would say
Mm-hmm.
this person's conceited, but they're not at all. They just like to be acknowledged. That's what it is
Right.
with that person. The fourth one is connection and love. This person, they just need to feel some closeness, union, connection with family, friends, their online community, pets, kids, whoever, whatever they're into. Feel that
Mm-hmm.
connection and love and that two-way street of good energy. That is their number one thing. This is usually that people pleaser. This is usually the happy friend that can get along with anybody. They never met a stranger. This is them. Connection and love, that's that person.
Mm-hmm.
The fifth one is growth. This person, all they want to do, they just have to feel like they're making progress in life. If they don't feel like they're making progress towards the goal, they start getting stressed, angry, emotional, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to feel like they're going somewhere. That's me. I just got to feel like I'm making progress every day. I don't care if it's 1% or 10%.
Man.
We just have to feel like we're moving. Because if we're standing
Yep.
still, that's when we're just like second guessing ourselves, questioning our
Right.
faith, questioning this, looking at life. Are you on the right
Mm-hmm.
track? And then that's what it is. That person's number one need is growth. The last one of the six is contribution.
Mm-hmm.
This person, they just love helping others, giving back, supporting. This doesn't have to be monetary. This could be, they could be listening to somebody ranting at a gas station, but they appreciate it. They're that person that's present. They're not
Mm-hmm.
scrolling on their phone during a conversation. They're listening. They're helping charities, nonprofits, churches, the dog shelter, Boys and Girls Club, whatever their thing is. They just feel they have to always be giving back in a good way. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing this up because anybody can Google this, which again was the 6 human needs. I challenge that person to identify what is your current number one need. And then from there, write out your order. What was your second? And then write your six. And then from there, next to each one, write down 2 people that relate to those things. And you don't have to tell them, but say, you know what? My Uncle Jimmy, yeah, he's definitely, if he doesn't get his order, he's definitely certainty. Or my friend Michelle, she loves uncertainty. She hates routine. Always has to do everything random. For us, it'll stress us out. So very interesting if people start with this, identify what they are, identify what their loved ones or friend or spouse is, and then they start to have clarity. Because at that moment, they feel calmer, more in control. And the best thing about it, when a mind has clarity, their confidence goes up and they're less confused. A confused mind is just, they don't know where to go. They're easily manipulated, whether it's by society, the media, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. But when that person knows themselves, they feel power, then they can start to read others better. And then they can say, you know what? No wonder me and him bump heads. My need is this. He needs variety, or they need changes. They love the random road trip. So we're not saying to cut everybody off, but it just gives people clarity so they understand themselves and then they can work better with others. But I always challenge people to start with you. You do a lot for others, but get really clear on who you are. Because once you know yourself, you can show up better for others and you can read others better. And then it can make sense. You're like, you know what? Maybe me and him are not a good fit to work together. Or if somebody wants to date, like whatever their thing is, but there's nothing negative about it. They're just like, hey, my need and their need are the complete opposite. Doesn't mean we're totally incompatible, but it could give a lot of clarity when they're like, hey, it is what it is. Let's compromise.
I just wanted to backpack on that, where it's like, this allows us to live in a more ebb and flow environment. It allows us to not judge others, reject others because they're different or we don't align. It allows us to still have a genuine relationship, even if it's just we don't work together, but hey, look, you're cool, I'm this, you're that, but it's totally fine. And it comes with acceptance. And that allows us to have a healthy relationship with ourselves and others around us, so we don't move in a way to where it's negative and we're judgmental. I think it's a beautiful thing when you realize that we're all different, or we all don't click, or we all don't have the same beliefs, or we're not aligned. It's still okay. It is totally fine. And I'm someone who can extremely vouch for this, because I was someone who was like, they don't agree with me, they don't know, same different beliefs, nope, I can't do it, but I've learned to, like, okay, it's okay that they believe in something else, or it's okay that they see this as right and I see that as wrong. It's totally, there's no right or wrong. It's their belief and my belief. And that doesn't make them a terrible person. It doesn't make them an awful person or the best person in the world. It just means that we're different. We have different values, we have different beliefs, and that's okay. And I completely agree and love that. I also put the 6 human needs, like the one that I found that you kind of were talking about, I did put it in the episode details. So if you guys want to go check that out, you're more than welcome to. And I put the challenge in there as well. So, let's see. So for fitness, this is my biggest, like, I'm so excited to talk about. So I started my fitness journey. Well, dance has always been like, it's been my main fitness, like my way of fitness, right? That was like okay, I don't need to go to the gym. I can just work out and at home, or do yoga, or just go to all these dance classes and I'll be fine, which is great. It's beautiful. But I also want to tone and shape my body, and I want to get past this lump of like discouragement sometimes, when we expect like instant results,
Oh yeah.
or we're not seeing the pounds drop as quick as we want or as frequent. What is your let's see, like your little like tip or your inside knowledge on getting past that hurdle? Because I know everybody faces it.
Yeah, for sure. So something that can actually help is, some people, they might not like this answer, but I would stop getting on the scale every day. Because like step one for many people, males and females, when they get up, they go to the bathroom, they get on the scale, it's either a smile, an anger, they're hitting the wall, they're slapping the scale, they're up and down. And it's like, if they do that 7 days a week, there's no telling what they're going to see. The reason is because the weight can change, all fluctuated off hormones, water level, If somebody needs probiotics, maybe they're a little bloated for that day. But
Mhm.
either way, is it's not a dictation of your overall progress in health. The number on the scale is not a dictation of your overall progress in health, because people can lose inches and still be almost exact same weight.
Mm.
But then they start looking at the clothes. So I challenge people to once a week. My clients and I, we call it Flex Friday. We do three
Mhm.
things. We get our measurements with classic measuring tape. You can get it for like $3 at Walgreens, Walmart, wherever. Just get classic measuring tape and keep track of it weekly, of your waist, your hips. If somebody wants to measure their arms, or if they feel like their left leg is bigger or smaller than the other, or vice versa, they can
Mm.
really get some clarity and say, you know what, this is my starting point. And then week by week, they can see the changes. And maybe the scale changes slowly. Maybe it changes quickly. Either way, they stop really caring too much about the number on the scale, because they see proof in the measurements, the way their clothes fit. And then the next thing we do is we just take progress pictures. That's in whatever they want to work out in, whatever they're comfortable in, but just track it for themselves. So, one, measurements, two, pictures, and it's just that self accountability. And this is just once a week. Do that every Friday. The interesting thing about a Friday, most people, can't say all people, but most people are in a good mood on a Friday. So
Mhm.
if you're in a good mood and you're doing this, it's like a psychological trick where you're actually looking forward to see, I wonder where I'm going to be at tomorrow morning. So no matter
Mm.
what the number says or the picture shows, they're still actually in a more powerful state, because they know they have 7 more days to go hard on whatever they're doing to make even more progress. So they start to judge themselves negatively less and less, because they're not looking at these things every single day,
Mm.
because our body weight can change literally 3 to 5 times throughout the day. Like earlier, I just had water. Tomorrow, I might have a shake. I might be bloated. The next day, I might not be bloated. Like this could happen
Mhm.
all throughout the day of what we eat and drink. And last but not least is many people, their cortisol level, their stress hormone is so high
Mhm.
because they live in fight or flight.
Mhm.
So they might be bloated and they haven't even drank or eaten anything. They're like, why am I so bloated? But maybe they don't realize that they're living in a state of fear, anxiety, depression, and that they unknowingly have such high cortisol levels that it makes sense why they have a bad relationship with food, the scale, the picture, like whatever it is. But they just have to first say, you know what? I've been living in this state. Let me work on my mind.
Mm.
Because for most people, I've noticed is once they start to have more empowering thoughts, have a lending ear, have something that they want to work on, be strategic with whatever they're doing, they get clarity, they feel mentally calmer, and then they
Mm.
don't realize that their cortisol level goes down. And then it seems like instantly their body starts to change as well, whether that's their
Mm.
physique, whether that's their skin, whether you see the light in his or her eye more. So all those different things. But I would just choose Friday, track those things once a week. It might be a challenge for some because they probably got on the scale 3 times already today and it's not even lunchtime yet. But in general, is they'll stop dictating their happiness on a number, on what the tape says, on a picture, on likes on Instagram. They stop dictating happiness and their self love on numbers or
Mm.
outside perception. It's more so, hey, I fall in love with the person that I become along the journey. I haven't missed a workout in 2 weeks. She hasn't missed her water intake in 5 days. He hasn't drank alcohol in 8 days. Yesterday was a Super Bowl. Maybe he didn't, maybe that's his first Super Bowl in like 18 years. He didn't touch alcohol and he's just proud of
Mm.
himself. So, like those small wins where they show that pride and power within themselves, that's going to override any number, anything else that they used to think of. But I always treat it like a game. So, once a week on Friday, track those things. And besides that, is just be aware of your self talk,
Mm.
and that'll give that person a lot of clarity.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. I I know sometimes we don't realize how powerful and impactful our self-talk can be, good or bad.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we don't realize certain words we use as well that can be contributing to the negative self-talk. It could be little things like I should. I should be doing this. That's already negative. Like you could be doing this. Let's do it,
Oh, yeah.
instead. So just being mindful and aware of the verbiage that we're using. I'm trying to do this. No, I'm doing this. Little shifts like that can go a very long way. And I only say it because I am still working on that as well. But it's a life journey, and it's an everyday progress report with ourselves, right?
Oh
We
yeah,
have to check in every day, every Friday. Flex, I like that. Flex Friday. I'm so in love with that. Like, I don't know what it is about Fridays. I'm the most creative. I'm the most upbeat. And it's not even because the weekend's coming, but it's Friday. Friday is a beautiful day. So
exactly.
let's use that Friday as a way to motivate ourselves and others, empower ourselves. And even if it's, again, I'm going to start measuring myself. Thank you. I'm going to start doing that. Forget the scale. I haven't even touched that thing in weeks, but it's going to be great because I want to make sure that I see it in a different way. Now let's try a different way. The number doesn't matter. The number is always the same for me anyways. No matter how much I work out, how little I work out, it's the same. So I've come to acknowledge that part. Like, it's not working for me. I don't want to look at that. And I realize how it makes me feel, guys. So every time I step on the scale, it's like an instant, like, oh my God, what is the number gonna be? What, like, and it's already panic mode for me. I can feel it in my body. I get anxious and I get, oh my God, okay. Whew, if it's under a certain, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm great. But then if it's not, like he said, it fluctuates every day. So if it's higher, I beat myself up. I get upset, or I'm just like, oh my God, like, what the heck? But even that's negative self-talk. If we do step on that scale and be like, okay, you know what? It's this number today, but I'm going to try and get this down next week or tomorrow. If you can't shake that scale,
Oh
just
yeah,
try to shake how you see the numbers, right? Don't let the numbers dictate your mood for the day. Like,
exactly.
it's impactful. It
And
can be.
and with the three things is sometimes this happens. The scale might be up 1 pound, but they're down 2 inches. And their
Mm,
picture, they can actually tell, like, huh, I had those same shorts on or that same tank top on last time, or whatever they were wearing, and they say, huh, I didn't notice that. And then if they see the inches going down, they might try an old outfit on and say, hey, I haven't worn this shirt in a while, these pants. Oh wow, they're
mm,
looser. Or oh wow, it's tighter because my legs or glutes are bigger, or my chest, like whatever the goal
mm-hmm,
is, whatever they're working on. But those are moments when they can really tell. And then the last but not least is when you start getting compliments. We are our
mm,
own biggest critic. So when somebody's already giving you compliments, it might even be coworkers that don't really know you personally. But if people like that are in your circle but aren't really personal, if they start asking, hey, there's something different about you, that is when there's also proof. Because sometimes people dismiss genuine compliments where the person might
mm,
not even know what you're doing, but they're just like, notice the difference. It's usually energy, it's usually their skin. And some people, they quickly lose body fat in their face. Their
mm,
jawline starts to show more, their face feels less round. But maybe that person is so fixated on the scale on their body that they didn't even notice that their whole face changed. They look refreshed, they look lively. People say, wow, you look like you're glowing. He or she's glowing. They say, oh, I don't know, I've just been drinking more water. And then they think
mm.
about it, they're like, huh, let me look at a picture for myself, selfies from like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then they can see they saw the bags under their eye, act like
Mhm.
whatever it is, and they really start to assess themselves differently rather than just, oh God, about to get on this thing. What's going to happen? Am I going to be angry, sad, or disappointed? Which one is it?
Mhm.
So when you have three things like that, you can see more proof rather than just the scale. You see the measurements, but also the pictures. But I love those moments when people start getting compliments from people that are not in their close circle, but they're around. They say, man, something's
Mhm.
different about you. And it might just be their confidence. Maybe they're
Right.
in their head about the scale, but maybe they're walking taller. They're
Mm.
like, hey, that's that old voice overpowering the scale, but you're actually walking better because you have better posture, all those
Mhm.
different things. So I love those moments when friends or clients just get clarity and they say, hey, man, you know what? It's been a while since I did this, or it's been a while since I allowed myself to speak to myself like that. All those
Mhm.
things will override the scale because they see the big picture is just falling in love with the person they become along the journey. That is the true self love, seeing the work, saying, wow, I've been consistent for 2 weeks, 2 months, this and that. And it's all about how they feel. Nobody else's opinion matters. That's why sometimes I tell clients, I'm like, hey, it's been X days since you haven't drank alcohol or since you haven't texted an ex husband or ex wife. Be proud of yourself for that. And they look back
Mhm.
and say, I haven't done that in 6+ years. And they're like,
Mm.
wow, this is actually huge for me. So if it's huge for them, that's all that matters. It's about how
Right.
they feel. So acknowledge When you're making progress, be proud of yourself. And when was the last time you looked in the mirror, flex, and say, that's one bad motherfucker? And just like be confident, love that person you see. You're like, man, they've been through some wild, dark stuff. They're still standing, they're still alive. Like nobody can stop them. And really be aware of how you speak to the person you see in the mirror.
Yes. Yes, that's all. Look, guys, this is A1 information. Like this, and it's accessible everywhere. And we can hear it everywhere. We just have to be open to listening and receiving it. We have to be open to being like, okay, let's try something different. Let's listen. You know what? I'm going to take this person's advice. I'm going to try it at least. I'm going to attempt, and I'm going to see if this is going to work for me. That's all you have to do is take that one step forward.
Oh yeah.
And you'll be surprised how different that path looks in front of you. Honestly. Derick, is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to tell the audience, the listeners? What else do you want to share with us? Insights, wisdom, advice, suggestions?
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, Jamila, I just challenge everybody to see what can you do starting right now to become the man or woman that you would be proud of and the person you always needed. What can you start to do right now to become the person that you would be proud of and the person you always needed? And what I mean by needed is maybe you didn't have the best mother figure or father figure or mentor or parental guardian or whoever, but what can you do to become that type of person or that manager, that boss, that leader, that true leader that actually cares, that can communicate with people differently? What do you have to do to become that person? And last but not least, how can you give that person to others? How can you give that person to others? Because I feel like that's why we're all here. We face stuff, we face hell, we've been through pain, we've been through trauma, but what did we get from it? You have a gift from the trauma. People come to you for something. If you don't feel the value or the power within yourself, look at it this way. Somebody in your life, coworker, family, friends, neighbor, online community, somebody comes to you with specific questions. You're the expert in fashion, hair, skin, makeup, fitness, music, dance. Somebody comes to you for something. That right there might align with, people come to me for this. I don't even see that in myself. And maybe that's your gift that relates to your trauma. So maybe you got something from that. So just another perspective I want to leave people with. You have greatness in you. You just have to remind yourself. And if you can't pinpoint it, ask yourself, what do people naturally come to me for? They ask you questions about something, and it usually relates to the same one or two things. That might be your new passion, or it might be just a reminder like, hey, you have this thing, but you've been sitting on it. Get it out there to the world.
I couldn't agree more. I appreciate you so much, Derick, in coming on and having this conversation with me. I learned so much, or you reminded me also of so much that I have to implicate in my life. And I really appreciate you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You have a wonderful week. And I can't wait to measure myself on Friday.
All right, let's get it.
All right. Well, you have a good day, Derick.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.